You could do it out on our social media, scan the QR code. This is a summary, and then these are the boards that we showed at the different community. We were at the Civic Center. I have a timeline here in front of you. During October, November, we did the prepare the task order. That's the order that council approved for us to move forward with Ms. Deborah Dockery. We had some organizational meetings with the staff, the mayor, some of the council member attended the organizational meeting where we planned what, our steps were moving forward. And then we developed the park survey with the help of our public information officer and of course Ms. Deborah Dockery. During December and through April, we have been holding the stakeholder meetings where we summarize, this is the result of those stakeholder meetings. We held 2 at the Civic Center. We did some surveys at the Little League opening event in April. We were also out there. I was out there at the Frio County Pioneer Days. That was a big success. We had one of those spin the wheel. You could get a prize, but you had to do the survey first. So that was a catch to that. And then of course we thank you to Councilman Ms. Salamantes and Councilman Trevino. We were able to reach the schools. And if you don't mind, Councilman Trevino, can you tell us why that was important? Because we learned that we needed to reach out to the future. And
Right, so the idea came from an economic development conference that was attended in Eagle Pass. Cities are moving forward to get the feedback and information from the youth, and it's all because the youth is gonna be the future of your cities as we move forward. So their input is critical when it comes to projects like this, because it not only gives us an overview of what the kids wanna see in, should we say, their playgrounds, right? And so when I reached out to Ms. Talamantes, like, get us into the 8th grade. We were targeting the government classes, because it's part of government, and then she wanted to include the 8th grade. So we did, and it was an interaction with these kids to say, you know what, this is your future city. So we wanna know, what do you wanna see within 5 years? Because some of us might not be available. They're gonna be the future of this city. So we wanna know, we want to make them feel important as well as these adults. So we got good information. The only thing I can say, council, is these projects will only be implemented as we initiate, we move forward with this. We can't no longer sit on it. We've gotten enough information, I would say, to say, you know what, this is what the community wants. And this is what's bringing in revenue, as we hear from Mr. Otero and these the sports complex is what's bringing in revenue for the city. So we need to move on these improvements. And we, we've had, Fred and I and Ms. Moran had many conversations to, okay, where do we go from here now? And I think that's enough feedback to say this is what the community is looking at. And we brought it to the community, to the youth, and to the school districts, and say, you know what, this is what it is. So I think from here, as we move forward into budget talks and everything, we need to really sit down and analyze, this is what we need to move forward. But if we're gonna do action, we're gonna take action now and move it forward.
Well,
Because
and it shows in Morelos Park, that was never, there was hardly anybody over there. Now, it's full.
Yes.
So when you make upgrades, they take pride in it, and the kids wanna go. And here in Pearsall, we have nothing for our youth, to really utilize, especially in the summertime coming up. So they were really engaged, they were on it, they kept asking me even after y'all left, like, when is this gonna happen? When are we gonna go and see that? So they were very excited about seeing this hopefully come to their community. They're really excited.
And as leaders, now that the school district has moved to this 4-day, this would be an opportunity to say, you know what, if we need to move to a multi-purpose facility to cover that day 5, it is our duty as elected officials, as leaders of our community, to say, maybe this is what's needed to on it. And when we were in DC, we met with the Department of Education, and we brought up a point to say, you know what, have you had any talks from other districts as far as the feeding of some of these kids within our rural communities, that it's only that one meal that they receive on Fridays from the school district? What are they gonna do now? Where are they gonna get fed?
summer lunch programs.
Lunch purposes.
Yeah.
So these facilities might be
Yeah.
the right way to
Could
right
serve
direction to
that
head.
purpose as a multi-purpose facility. So, in finishing up with the timeline, you'll note June through July, we are, Ms. Dockery has gathered all the information from the surveys. She is working on May through June, the concept plan, and she will meet with staff and some of the council. And then, of course, she will, issue the opinion of costs and the project descriptions, summarizing, everything that we have turned over to her. June and July, she will give us a final plan, that will be brought before the council. And then finally, August 1st, we plan to submit for another round of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Outdoor Recreation Grant for August 1st. So, I'd like to just summarize, we had the junior high when we were there write a wish list as well as placing the dots. And in reviewing these, I think this one most summarizes what the community should look like through the eyes of a youth. And it says, I would like to see a water park, I would like to see a Waffle House, a Whataburger, better restrooms, and better hotels. I would also like to see some hotels have pools, but that never take care of them, and they're too small. Also, more food places, more variety of food places to eat personally. Also needs, City of Pearsall also needs a little painting and remodeling. A makeover. So when visitors come, they will be amazed at what they see and admire what they see on how nice Pearsall looks. This is exactly that summarizes our vision, our mission, and our goals for the City of Pearsall.
Who was that? They hit 100.
Yeah.
We didn't take base on this, but I thought I would share that with you all,
That's good.
because this really encompasses the vision that you as policymakers, council members, I feel share that same vision.
So we're at a stage within the next 2 to 3 months, we'll start seeing some things and be able
Yes.
to apply for these grants.
Yes.
And hopefully then, that process can be a little bit lengthy, but again, in order to get the most bang for our bucks, we need to keep pressure on that and move forward. Council, is there anything else regarding Victor Trevino?
No, thank you.
Anything? All right, we'll move these back out of the way. Thank you very much. Okay, next item, presentation on a neighborhood traffic calming program. This is on page 86 of your packet. Assistant City Manager.
Mayor, council members, the objective or purpose of this presentation is, Mr. Reyes, our city manager, tasked our department with establishing some policies and procedures for citizens requesting a traffic calming program in their neighborhood or street, or basically speed humps or speed bumps. And so what is the difference between them? So, and how should we address the request for a speed bump or speed hump? So that is the purpose of the presentation this evening. I'd like to point out that the difference or the definition is to reduce, of course, the speeding and cut through of traffic so that it will provide safety for our pedestrians and bicyclists, and also reducing vehicle speeds. So that is the purpose of a traffic calming program. Yes.
I have not so much of an issue with it, but I do have a concern with the speed bumps because of EMS emergencies.
Right.
And I don't want, like, say EMS has somebody in their, transport unit and, something happens, then what, no. I don't approve of speed bumps. I'd rather have a four-way stop, other than speed bumps or, that's the
So but to your point, you're absolutely correct, Councilman Hernandez. There, in my research in preparing this, and I may not have put it in this draft, but there are some recommendations of what type to have, that would address EMS, fire and safety, whether you do a speed hump or a speed bump, that, would address something like that. So, the speed humps are the ones that are slightly smaller, and you'll see them in the presentation. There you can see them.
It's on page 9 in your packet.
Yeah.
It's page
Yeah, it's in your packet, and that's to keep traffic, these tend to, they're longer, but they're slightly smaller, and they tend to work best to keep traffic between 10 and 15 miles per hour. That's your speed hump. The, speed bumps tend to work best to keep traffic between 2 to 10 miles per hour, but they're slightly bigger. These speed humps can provide some hindrance in certain specific areas. You mostly see these speed humps in parking lots.
You see the speed bumps in parking lots.
Did you,
Ms. Miranda, it's the
Crystal?
speed bumps that you see in parking lots. The
oh,
grids.
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
I got an idea.
Yes.
Why don't we just get the option to give out more tickets in the neighborhoods?
That's a good idea.
Crystal, did I have that in there?
They're gonna call it.
Oh, we didn't save it? I'm sorry?
The other two items that are in there from 2016. Do you want to try?
2016? No, it's a new drive. So I don't know what that is then. The proposed calming policy is, of course, that we would, step one is that they would make a request for a speed hump investigation, that would be made, by a City of Pearsall resident or a group of residents who want to see a speed hump. Then we would determine in step two whether they're eligible, and the eligibility criteria would be established. That first of all, it had to be a residential street, and maybe perhaps a certain width, I mean, something, you know, that would be a certain width and length versus a short street. So, that would be step two. The posted limit would not exceed 30 miles per hour. The street block section would not be within a school zone, and that it may not have more than one lane in each direction. So that would be some of the suggestions for the criteria that we would look for, when we start the investigative process. So step three is they had to have met the eligibility criteria that was set out. Then we would have this reviewed either by our city engineer or city staff that would be responsible for evaluating the speed study, and they would determine the percentage of vehicles that travel at a speed of 35 miles per hour or higher, vehicles traveling at a speed of 34 miles per hour or less, and how many speed humps would be needed, and then determine the placement of those speed humps. And then, of course, proper signage, and then costs to install the humps and the signage. That would be the traffic study. The criteria would be that 70% of the participation of the residents on the requesting street. If you'll see in your packet, there is a form, like a petition form, where you would need 70% of those in that street to sign off that they are interested in the speed humps. The minimum street would be 21 feet. The average speed would be 25 miles per hour. The length of the street would be 600 feet, and the average daily traffic would have to be about 500 vehicles per day. That again is the minimum criteria. This is a draft. We can certainly take in some of the concerns or comments. Then the petition process is a copy of the study results and cost of installation will be given to the requester. So they would either pay for it. If they want to proceed, they would submit that to the city for consideration. Or we could look at the city paying for it, based on if it meets that certain criteria.
Mayor, so is this something that we're going to approve?
Yeah.
Or if this is just
A
what?
presentation.
Mr. Chairman, we'd like to get feedback from tonight, and so part of what I think, there's been some questions regarding getting speed humps. I know people have asked, well, how do we get a speed hump, and what do we do? And so, the challenge we run into is where to place speed humps, and then what requests to listen to. I'll give you an example, I've had people request speed humps, and then the very next few weeks, I've had people asking me to take those speed humps off. I've had those requests. And so it's just kind of, same thing with signs, with stop signs. I've had people request stop signs, and then weeks or months later, want the stop signs removed. So part of what we're trying to get at is if the people in that area want some sort of speed hump, then it's gonna require legwork. To your point, council member, part of what we need to gauge on that end, and what I spoke to the police chief about is when we do these, what they do is, and chief can correct me if I'm wrong, but they spend a certain amount of hours at a location doing what they call a street study. That's what's historically been done. They'll go and spend, well, that officer is there 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day watching that area. And so when we're talking about needing folks to respond to calls or to be out, in other locations, if somebody's just there, it's parked, that's a office of an officer. So what we're trying to do, what we'd suggest is we have I have another idea to try to manage that part of it, where we can have counts, we can have speed limits where people are driving. There's actually equipment that can do that for us. But we need to have some direction from the council. If there's anything here that doesn't make sense, or anything that you want to see or don't want to see, but it is a question where we get a lot. I think there's been some elected officials that have requested speed humps, and not just elected officials, but others. And so we just want to be able to come to some consensus with the council as far as the future policy.
And this will
This
be
is
on the next meeting?
This is gonna help, because that's just it, we don't have anything. And when a cop's sitting out there for 6 hours, everybody slows down, it's like, oh, there's no problem here. So anyway, this kind of like the same thing, we don't have a street light policy, those are gonna be coming to you, so you guys determine. So look this over, if there's something, your points, because we're gonna have something to present to you next council meeting for you to decide what we're gonna have, which is gonna make everybody's job easier. And amen to that. I mean, we don't need to say any more, but you get one person on the street that wants a speed hump, and then we do it, and no one else wanted it. And so this way, we want community buy-in. Hey, you go get signed, you get 70% of the people to sign in, and then we'll start talking. But until that point, so.
I agree.
Anyway, any other questions about the speed hump, the traffic calming? Okay. This is gonna help them. This is gonna help them a lot. And same way, Fred, is that right? We're gonna also look at something for street lights.
Streetlights, again, we could look at a policy there. We don't have anything yet, but we can look into it.
And it's the same thing. Somebody wants one and somebody doesn't, so we'll look at something similar. Right.
So this is just a sample, a draft of the criteria, because we do not have any policy in place, and then also we have no application. So I also attached a sample of the application and what that would look like as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Yolanda. All right, moving on to 7, this is consent item, the yes or no vote, approval of the meeting minutes for April 9th, 2024. I need there's a motion by Councilman Leal, a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. Do I have any questions or comments? Hearing none, call the vote. All in favor to approve the April 9th, 2024 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to new business, all items below are action items. Item 8A, discuss and consider the request for the Pearsall Rotary Club for the reduction of a waiver fee associated with the use of the city civic center to host the Pearsall Rotary auction on October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. This is an action item. I'll ask for a motion in a second. Motion by Councilwoman Talamantes, second by Councilman Leal. We've got the Rotary here. Ms. Robert, would you like to make a statement?
I would. We're actually doing something a little bit different this year. We'd really like to do, instead of a 3-day auction, we'd really like to do a 1-day gala. And so we're actually asking for the use of the Civic Center for a Friday evening to prepare, and Saturday, we would like to have a gala and kind of raise more money. This year, or last year, we were able to raise $14,000, and we were able to, from all of this, we were able to give $14,000 out to our kids.
What are the fees, Fred?
Ran off the top with the fees for the civic center the entire day,
Saturday, 350
$350 for both days?
for one day.
Oh, okay, so
Per day.
$700 more or less that you can.
So,
Inside.